My name is Marlo, and I'm 32 years old. Right now, I'm standing alone in my apartment on Christmas Eve, staring at my phone screen like it might suddenly change what I'm seeing. The family group chat is flooded with photos. My mother, Lucille, is laughing at the head of the table. My father, Byron, is carving a golden brown turkey. My older brother, Garrett, has his arm around his wife, Celeste, and my younger sister, Willow, is holding up a glass of wine. Everyone is there. Everyone except me. The caption under Garrett's post reads, "Best Christmas without the drama." I set my phone down slowly, carefully, feeling something inside me shift and harden. Before we dive deeper into what happened next, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below, and if you've ever felt left out by the people who were supposed to love you most, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this story takes a turn nobody in my family saw coming, and you won't want to miss what happens when they finally realized what they'd thrown away. Now, let me take you back to how I became the family outcast. 6 months before that devastating Christmas Eve, I was the dependable one. I was the daughter who showed up, who fixed things, who wrote the checks nobody else wanted to write. When Willow's car broke down in the middle of nowhere, I didn't hesitate to pay the $2,000 repair bill. When Garrett couldn't make his mortgage payment and was facing foreclosure, I transferred $5,000 without asking questions. I organized every family gathering, remembered every birthday, sent cards and gifts, and made sure everyone felt loved. My parents praised me constantly. Lucille would tell her friends, "Marlo is my rock, so responsible." Byron would pat my shoulder and say, "I don't know what we'd do without you." But looking back now, I can see the cracks that were always there. The backhanded compliments, the way they praised my generosity, but never questioned whether it was fair to keep asking. The subtle digs, disguised as jokes. I just didn't want to see it because I loved them, and I thought love meant giving everything you had. 3 months ago, my grandmother Iris passed away peacefully in her sleep at 87 years old. She left me her beach house in Charleston, a beautiful property worth $400,000 with weathered blue shutters and a wraparound porch that overlooked the ocean. I had spent every summer there as a child, helping her garden and listening to her stories. When everyone else stopped visiting, claiming they were too busy, I drove the 3 hours every other weekend. I brought her groceries, fixed things around the house, sat with her while she did crossword puzzles. She told me once, "You're the only one who comes because you want to, not because you need something." When the will was read and I learned Shed left the house to me, I cried, not because of the money, but because it meant Shed known. Shed seen how much I loved her. My family's reaction was ice. Polite congratulations with tight smiles. Garrett left the lawyer's office without saying goodbye. I should have known then that something had broken. 2 months ago, we had a family dinner at my parents' house. I brought homemade lasagna and expensive wine, trying to smooth over the tension I could feel but didn't understand. We were halfway through the meal when Garrett put down his fork and looked at me with cold eyes. "So, Marlo, how long were you planning Grandma's manipulation?" The table went silent. I felt my face flush with confusion and hurt. "What are you talking about?" He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "Come on, you just happened to be the only one visiting her for years? You just happened to be there constantly right before she updated her will? That beach house should have been split between all of us, but you made sure you were the favorite." Willow jumped in, her voice breaking as tears filled her eyes. "I needed that money for my online boutique business. You know I've been struggling, but you just took it all." I tried to defend myself, my voice shaking. "I visited Grandma because I loved her, not because I wanted anything." "You all could have visited too. She asked about you constantly." Celeste, who had been whispering in Garrett's ear throughout dinner, spoke up with fake sweetness. "It just seems convenient, that's all. Older people are vulnerable. They can be influenced." I looked at my parents, waiting for them to say something, to defend me, to remind everyone that Grandma Iris had always been sharp as a tack right until the end. But Lucille looked down at her plate, and Byron cleared his throat uncomfortably. Nobody defended me. Garrett slammed his hand on the table, making the dishes rattle. "You always act so perfect, so selfless, but you're just selfish. You manipulated a dying woman." I left that dinner in tears, and I didn't hear from any of them for a week. A week after that disaster, my friend Simone called me sounding worried. She worked in public relations and knew Celeste through mutual acquaintances. "Marlo, I need to tell you something, and it's not good. Celeste has been talking about you. To everyone." My stomach dropped. "What is she saying?" Simone hesitated, then continued gently. "She's telling people you isolated your grandmother from the family, that you manipulated her while she was sick and vulnerable, that you essentially stole an inheritance that should have been divided equally, and Garrett and Willow are backing her up." I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. These were lies, terrible lies, but they were spreading through our extended family like poison. I called my mother immediately, my hands shaking as I dialed. "Mom, people are saying awful things about me, about Grandma. You know none of it is true, right?" There was a long pause. Then Lucille said something that broke my heart. "Well, Marlo, you have to admit it looks suspicious. You were the only one there. You did get everything. Not a defense, not a moment of support, just more accusation." I hung up and sat on my apartment floor, staring at nothing, feeling my family slip away like water through my fingers. The daughter who had given everything was being branded a thief, and nobody was standing up for me. Thanksgiving arrived cold and gray. I had assumed, as I did every year, that I would host dinner at my apartment. I'd already bought all the groceries, spending $300 on a turkey, fresh vegetables, expensive wine, and all the ingredients for the dishes my family loved. My apartment smelled like sage and butter as I prepared to cook. 2 days before Thanksgiving, my phone rang. Garrett's name appeared on the screen, and I answered with relief, hoping maybe things were getting better. "Hey, so we're doing Thanksgiving at Mom and Dad's this year," he said casually, as if he were discussing the weather. I frowned, confused. "Oh, okay. What time should I come over?" There was a pause that stretched too long. "Actually, we decided to keep it just immediate family this year. You know, something small." My heart started pounding. "Garrett, I am immediate family. I'm your sister." His voice went cold. "You know what I mean. We need some time without all the tension you've been creating." I couldn't breathe. "The tension I've been creating? I haven't done anything except exist." He cut me off. "Look, it's already decided. Well, talk after the holidays, okay?" The line went dead. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by enough food to feed 8 people, tears streaming down my face, unable to comprehend how I had become the family pariah. That Thanksgiving, I ate mashed potatoes straight from the pot, sitting on my couch in sweatpants, crying through football games I wasn't watching. I tried calling my parents 3 times. Each call went straight to voicemail, and I knew they were rejecting them deliberately. I texted Willow a simple message. "What did I do wrong? Please just tell me so I can fix it." The message showed as read within minutes, but no response came. Hours passed. Then I made the mistake of checking social media. There it was, posted by my mother. A beautiful Thanksgiving table crowded with smiling faces. Garrett, Celeste, Willow, Byron, and Lucille, all holding hands for the prayer. The caption read, "Grateful for family that sticks together through everything." The implication was a knife between my ribs. I wasn't family that stuck together. I was the problem that had been removed. Garrett had commented on the photo, "Best Thanksgiving in years." Willow had added heart emojis. They were celebrating my absence, and they wanted me to know it. December arrived with the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. I waited, checking my phone obsessively, for any mention of Christmas plans. The family group chat that I was still technically part of went completely silent. No messages about coordinating gifts or discussing dinner plans like in previous years. I finally couldn't take it anymore, and typed a message into the chat. "Hey everyone, what are we doing for Christmas this year?" I watched the 3 dots appear and disappear several times as people typed and deleted responses. Finally, 3 days later, Willow replied with a single sentence. "We're keeping it small this year." My hands trembled as I typed back, "How small?" No answer came. The silence was louder than any insult could have been. A week before Christmas, I broke down and called my mother directly, desperate for clarity. Lucille answered on the 5th ring, her voice uncomfortable and distant. "Oh, Marlo. Hi. I didn't bother with small talk. Mom, am I invited to Christmas or not? She sighed, like I was being difficult. Byron and I talked about it, and we think it's best if we have a quiet Christmas this year, just us and the kids. My voice came out small and broken. Mom, I'm your kid too. Another sigh. You know what I mean. Garrett and Willow. They're both going through a lot right now, and we don't want any conflict. You have that nice beach house now. You'll be fine. The casual cruelty of it took my breath away. So I'm being punished for receiving a gift from someone who loved me? Lucille's voice hardened. Nobody's punishing anyone. We're just trying to have a peaceful holiday. Maybe after things settle down, we can all get together. But we both knew that was a lie. Christmas Eve arrived, and the devastation I described at the beginning of this story unfolded in real time. I sat alone in my apartment, watching my phone screen fill with images of a celebration it'd been deliberately excluded from. My mother posted a photo of the beautifully decorated tree with presents piled underneath. I counted the stockings hung on the fireplace mantel. 4. Mine wasn't there. My father posted a family photo with the caption, "My 2 kids and their mother, celebrating the best gift of all, family." 2 kids, not 3. I had been erased. Celeste posted a selfie from the dinner table with the caption, "Finally a drama-free holiday," and Garrett had commented, "Best decision we ever made." I sat there, surrounded by wrapped presents I'd bought for each of them before I understood I wouldn't be welcome. Over $1,000 spent on people who had gathered together to celebrate without me. I looked at the beach house keys sitting on my kitchen counter, the supposed source of all this hatred. Then I looked at my phone again and made a decision. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the name I was looking for, Thaddeus Sullivan. We'd been friends since college and I knew he was in town. I typed a message. "Are you free for New Year's? I need a favor." His response came within minutes. "For you? Absolutely. What's going on?" I typed back, "I'll explain in person. But I need to do something that matters. Something that reminds me I exist." He replied, "Come to my office tomorrow. We'll talk. And Marlo, whatever happened, I'm sorry." It was the first genuine kindness anyone had shown me in months, and I cried myself to sleep holding on to it. 2 days after Christmas, I met Thaddeus at an upscale coffee shop downtown, the kind with marble tables and coffee that costs $8 a cup. Thaddeus arrived, looking every bit the successful tech entrepreneur had become. Perfectly tailored suit, confidence radiating from every movement. He was 35 now, and the awkward computer science major I'd known in college had transformed into someone who commanded attention when he walked into a room. But when he saw my face, his expression softened with immediate concern. He hugged me tightly before we even sat down. "Tell me everything," he said simply. So I did. I told him about the inheritance, about the accusations, about Thanksgiving and Christmas and the systematic way my family had cut me out of their lives. I told him about the lies Celeste was spreading, about my mother's cold dismissal, about my father erasing me from family photos. I told him everything, and he listened with increasing anger on my behalf. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment, his jaw tight. "They excluded you because your grandmother loved you? Because you received something you absolutely deserved?" I nodded, unable to speak without crying again. Thaddeus leaned forward, his voice intense. "Marlo, this is abuse. You know that, right? This is calculated, deliberate, emotional abuse designed to punish you for something that wasn't even wrong." Hearing it said out loud made something click into place in my mind. It wasn't my fault. I hadn't done anything wrong. They had. Thaddeus sat back, thinking, and then something shifted in his expression. What if we gave them something to really talk about? I looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" He smiled, and it wasn't entirely friendly. "My company just closed a major acquisition deal, $50 million. I'm throwing a New Year's Eve gala at the Sterling Grand to celebrate with investors, business partners, and friends. Over 200 guests, including some of the biggest names in this city, politicians, celebrities, entrepreneurs. It's invitation only, and the press will be covering it extensively." I still didn't understand where he was going. "That sounds amazing, but what does it have to do with me?" Thaddeus reached across the table and took my hand. "Come as my date, not as a pity invite, but because I genuinely want you there. You're one of the smartest, most talented people I know, and you deserve to be celebrated. And if your family happens to see that you're living your best life surrounded by people who actually value you, well, that's just a bonus." I hesitated, years of being told not to make waves holding me back. "Thaddeus, I don't want to use you to make a point." His expression became serious. "You wouldn't be using me. I'm offering because I want you there. I've heard you talk about your family for years, always making excuses for them, always putting them first. It's time someone put you first. Let me do that." Before I could respond, someone else entered the coffee shop, my best friend Simone, who I'd texted earlier. She rushed over to our table, her public relations instincts already working. When she heard Thaddeus' plan, her eyes lit up with strategic possibility. "Oh, we're absolutely doing this. And we're doing it right." She pulled out her phone and started taking notes. "The Sterling Grand New Year's Eve Gala is the social event of the season. Everyone who's anyone will be there, and the coverage will be extensive. If Marlo shows up looking absolutely stunning on the arm of one of the city's most eligible bachelors, at an event her family could never access, surrounded by genuine success and happiness, the contrast will be impossible to ignore." I felt uncomfortable with the calculation of it all. "This feels manipulative." Simone looked at me with unusual seriousness. "Marlo, I need to tell you something. Celeste tried to turn me against you 2 months ago. She called me for coffee and spent an hour telling me how you manipulated your grandmother, how you were always the spoiled one, how you looked down on the rest of the family. She was testing to see if I'd join her smear campaign." My mouth fell open. "Why didn't you tell me?" She squeezed my hand. "Because I shut her down immediately and didn't want to hurt you more than you were already hurting. But she's been working on this for months, Marlo. This isn't accidental. This is coordinated. They want you isolated and broken. Don't give them that satisfaction." The three of us spent the next hour planning. Simone insisted on a complete transformation. Shopping, hair, makeup, the works. Thaddeus arranged for car service and made sure my name was on all the official guest lists and press releases. Simone started mapping out a strategic social media approach. Nothing heavy-handed, just enough to make sure the right people saw that Marlo Ashford was thriving. As we talked, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not hope that my family would change, but hope that I could build a life worth living without them. When we finished planning, Thaddeus walked me to my car. "I mean what I said earlier. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to be around people who see your value. Your family lost something precious when they pushed you away, and they don't even know it yet." I hugged him, grateful beyond words. "Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." He smiled. "You were never invisible, Marlo. They just refused to look." The next day, Simone picked me up for what she called Operation Reclamation. We hit exclusive boutiques in the shopping district, places I'd normally never dare enter. Simone pulled dress after dress, rejecting anything that wasn't absolutely perfect. Finally, in a small boutique tucked away on a side street, I tried on an emerald green gown that made me stop breathing. It was elegant and dramatic, with a fitted bodice and a skirt that moved like water. The color made my eyes look brighter, my skin luminous. Simone actually teared up. "That's the one. That's absolutely the one." The price tag said $2,000, more than I'd ever spent on a single item of clothing. I hesitated, but then thought about the beach house, the inheritance my family resented so much. Grandma Iris would have wanted me to use it for something that brought me joy. I bought the dress. Next came the hair salon, where a stylist named Pietro transformed my usual simple style into something editorial and dramatic. As I watched my reflection change in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked powerful. I looked like someone who mattered. That evening, my elderly neighbor Lenora knocked on my door. She was 78, a tiny woman with sharp eyes who'd lived in the building for 40 years. "I heard you crying on Christmas," she said without preamble. "These walls are thin, dear. I wanted to check on you." I invited her in, embarrassed, but she waved off my apology. Over tea, I told her a condensed version of what had happened. Lenora listened quietly, then shared her own story. "My family disowned me 60 years ago because I married a man they didn't approve of. He was wonderful. We had 43 beautiful years together before he passed. But my parents and siblings never spoke to me again. They said I'd chosen wrong, that I'd embarrassed them." She looked at me intently. The best revenge, dear, is living well, is being happy. They took my family, but I built a new one with friends and neighbors and people who chose to love me. You go to that fancy party, you wear that beautiful dress, you shine so bright it hurts their eyes to look at you. Then she did something that made me cry. She took off her diamond bracelet, an antique piece that caught the light beautifully. This was my mother's. She gave it to my sister instead of me, but my sister sent it to me decades later with an apology note. I want you to wear it for luck, for strength, for knowing that you're worth more than their small minds can comprehend. On December 29th, just when I thought my family had given up, my phone rang with Garrett's name. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. His voice was unnaturally friendly, fake cheerful in a way that immediately made me suspicious. Hey, Marlo. So we've all been talking, and we feel really bad about Christmas. It wasn't right to leave you out. I waited, saying nothing. He continued. We want to do a belated celebration, kind of a make-up thing. Would you come to Mom's house on New Year's Eve? Around 6? My mind immediately understood what was happening. They'd seen something on my social media, some hint that I had plans, and they wanted to trap me at a boring family dinner to prevent whatever I might be doing. I kept my voice sweet. That's really thoughtful, Garrett, but I actually already have plans for New Year's Eve. There was shocked silence. Plans? What plans? With who? I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. With friends. People who actually want me around. But thanks for thinking of me. I hung up before he could respond. Within an hour, my phone exploded. Willow texted, "What plans?" Lucille called twice. Byron left a voicemail saying I was being dramatic again. Celeste sent a message, "Don't do anything you'll regret." I ignored them all and went to bed early, saving my energy for the night that would change everything. December 30th arrived with unexpected drama. I was making coffee when someone knocked loudly on my door. Looking through the peephole, I saw my mother standing in the hallway, arms crossed, looking determined. I almost didn't open the door, but something made me curious about what desperate tactic they'd try next. I opened it but left the chain lock on. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Lucille's face was tight, with barely concealed anger disguised as concern. "We need to talk, Marlo. Can I come in?" I didn't move. "We can talk like this." She looked frustrated but pressed on. "Your father and I are very worried about you. Spending the holidays alone, being so distant from the family. It's not healthy." I almost laughed at the audacity. "I wasn't alone by choice, Mom. I was excluded. There's a difference." She waved her hand dismissively. "We're family. We need to work through these misunderstandings." I felt something harden in my chest. "Misunderstandings? You told Dad I wasn't one of your kids. You removed my stocking from the fireplace. You let Garrett and Celeste spread lies about me manipulating Grandma Iris without ever once defending me. Those aren't misunderstandings. Those are choices." Lucille's fake concern cracked slightly. "Well, you have to understand how it looked to everyone. Still blaming me. Still no apology." I asked the question I needed answered. "Did you ever defend me? Even once? When Garrett accused me at dinner, when Celeste started her rumors, when people asked why I wasn't at Thanksgiving, did you ever, even one single time, tell them I didn't do anything wrong?" Her silence was everything. She looked uncomfortable, shifted her weight, looked anywhere but at me. "It's complicated, Marlo." I felt the last thread of obligation snap. "No, it's really not. I have plans tomorrow night. Real plans with real friends who actually care about me. Please leave." Her expression transformed from fake concern to real anger. "What plans could you possibly have that are more important than family?" I smiled coldly. "You'll see." I closed the door. Later that afternoon, my phone lit up with a message from Celeste. "Hey, I feel like there's been a big misunderstanding between us. Can we meet for coffee? Just us? Woman to woman? Clear the air?" Every instinct screamed that this was a trap, but I was curious about what angle she'd try. I agreed to meet at a neutral cafe downtown. Celeste arrived looking perfectly put together as always, with her blonde hair in beachy waves and her smile practiced and fake. She ordered some complicated latte and settled into her chair with exaggerated casualness. "I'm so glad you agreed to meet. I've been feeling terrible about all this tension." I sipped my plain coffee and waited. She continued. I think Garrett has been really stressed about money lately. He took his frustrations out on you about the inheritance thing, and that wasn't fair. I tried to calm him down, but you know how he gets. This was an outright lie. Simone had told me Celeste was the primary instigator, whispering poison in Garrett's ear for months. But I let her talk. I just think we all need to move past this and be a family again. Life's too short, you know? She paused dramatically, then moved to her real agenda. Speaking of which, have you given any thought to what you're going to do with that beach house? There it was. I set down my coffee. What do you mean? Celeste leaned forward, her expression shifting to something calculating. Well, it's a lot of house for one person. And honestly, it seems like it's caused so much family drama. Have you considered selling it? My stomach turned. To who? She smiled brightly. Garrett and I would be interested in buying it from you. We'd give you a fair price. Family discount, of course. Say, $200,000? The beach house was worth $400,000. She was offering half its value and calling it a family discount. I stared at her, genuinely amazed at the audacity. The house isn't for sale, Celeste. Her smile tightened. But think about it. You'd have the money, which you could invest or use however you want. And the house would stay in the family. Everyone wins. I leaned back in my chair. Except I'd lose a house my grandmother specifically left to me because she wanted me to have it. A house that holds every good memory I have of my childhood summers. But sure, everyone wins. Celeste's fake friendliness cracked completely. You're being selfish, Marlo. That house should benefit the whole family, not just you. Garrett has kids to think about in the future. What do you have? The cruelty was casual, reflexive. I stood up, done with this conversation. I have self-respect. I have friends who don't try to manipulate me. And I have a grandmother who loved me enough to leave me something precious. You can't take any of that from me. Celeste's expression turned venomous. You're going to regret alienating us. When you need something, when you're alone and desperate, don't come crying to us. I picked up my purse. I won't. I promise you that. I walked out of the cafe, feeling lighter than I had in months. New Year's Eve morning arrived bright and cold. I woke up early, not from anxiety, but from anticipation. Simone arrived at 9 with a makeup artist and hairstylist in tow, all part of her carefully orchestrated plan. My apartment transformed into a preparation headquarters. The makeup artist, a woman named Delia, with purple streaks in her hair, studied my face carefully. We're going for powerful but elegant. You're going to look like you could buy the whole party if you wanted to. The hairstylist, Marcus, created a sophisticated updo with small emerald pins that caught the light. When they finished and I put on the green gown, everyone in the room went silent. Simone actually teared up. You look like royalty, like someone who matters. I turned to look at myself in the full-length mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. She looked confident, powerful, beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with seeking approval. Lenora's diamond bracelet caught the light on my wrist, a reminder that I wasn't alone. I was ready. At 3 in the afternoon, my father called. His voice had that stern, authoritative tone Head used when I was a child, and had done something wrong. Your mother told me you're being difficult about New Year's Eve. This needs to stop, Marlo. You'll come to the house tonight. I took a breath, amazed at how calm I felt. Hi, Dad. It's nice to hear from you. This is the first time you've called in weeks. He ignored that. Family comes first. Whatever plans you think you have, cancel them. 6 o'clock at your mother's house. That's final. Something in his assumption of authority, his absolute certainty that I would obey, made years of resentment bubble to the surface. Where was family comes first on Christmas? Where was it on Thanksgiving when I ate mashed potatoes alone in my apartment? Where was it when Garrett accused me of manipulating Grandma and you sat there silent? Byron sounded uncomfortable. We needed some space to process things. I felt my voice strengthen. Space from your own daughter? For what crime? Loving my grandmother? Visiting her when no one else did? Receiving a gift she wanted me to have? He had no answer. You're making this into something it's not, he finally said weakly. I'm accepting what it is. I'm not coming tonight, Dad. You can't make me. I'm 32 years old, and am done trying to earn love from people who've already decided I don't deserve it. His voice hardened. You're making a mistake. Don't embarrass this family. The irony was stunning. I'm not the one who should be embarrassed. I hung up. For the first time in my life, Id stood up to my father, and the world hadn't ended. I felt powerful. At 7 in the evening, a sleek Tesla limousine pulled up in front of my building. Thaddeus had insisted on sending his personal driver, a kind older man named Harrison, who treated me like I was genuinely important. The drive to the Sterling Grand felt like entering a different world. We pulled up to the hotel, and I saw the red carpet, the photographers, the security checking names against exclusive invitation lists. My heart started pounding, but I thought about everything that had led to this moment. I thought about eating Thanksgiving alone, about seeing my stocking removed from the fireplace, about Celeste's smug face asking for my house. I lifted my chin and stepped out of the car. Thaddeus was waiting at the entrance, looking devastating in a custom tuxedo that probably cost more than my monthly rent. When he saw me, his entire face transformed with genuine admiration. "Marlo, you look absolutely stunning." "I mean it." He offered his arm like we were in an old movie. "Ready to have the night of your life?" I took his arm, feeling the solid reality of someone actually wanting me there. "Let's do this." We walked the red carpet together, and photographers immediately started snapping pictures. Thaddeus was well known in business circles, and his presence meant these photos would be everywhere. Someone called out, "Mr. Sullivan, who's your date tonight?" Thaddeus answered with obvious pride in his voice, "This is Marlo Ashford, an incredibly talented artist and dear friend." Head called me talented. Head called me a friend. Head said my name like it mattered. The ballroom took my breath away. Crystal chandeliers, the size of small cars, hung from the ceiling, each one sparkling like captured stars. A live orchestra played near the back, filling the space with music that made everything feel cinematic. Champagne towers glittered gold under the lights, and everywhere I looked, people in designer gowns and expensive tuxedos mingled and laughed. Over 200 guests filled the space, and I recognized faces from magazines and news programs. There was a famous actress I'd seen in 3 movies last year, a senator I'd watched debate on television, a renowned chef with 4 restaurants in the city. I felt completely out of my depth until Thaddeus squeezed my hand. "You belong here just as much as anyone else. More, actually, because you're genuine." Simone appeared from somewhere in the crowd, working the event with press credentials she'd somehow secured. She grabbed my hand and whispered, "You look perfect. Now smile and let them see you shine." Thaddeus led me through the crowd, introducing me to his circle. CEOs who shook my hand warmly, entrepreneurs who asked about my art, philanthropists who treated me like my opinions mattered. A woman named Geneva approached, elegant in a silver gown, and Thaddeus introduced her as the owner of Ashton Gallery. Geneva studied me with sharp, intelligent eyes. "Thaddeus mentioned you're a painter." "Abstract expressionism?" I was shocked Head talked about me. "Yes, mostly." "How did you know?" She smiled. "Because he showed me your portfolio last month and asked if I'd be interested in featuring emerging artists." "I absolutely am. We should talk after the holidays." She handed me a business card, and I held it like it was made of gold. Meanwhile, Simone was executing her strategic social media plan brilliantly. She'd been posting to Instagram throughout the evening, photos of me looking radiant at the gala, tagged with the location and with Thaddeus Sullivan's handle. Within an hour, the posts had hundreds of likes. Local society blogs were already picking up the images with captions like "Tech mogul Thaddeus Sullivan and mystery woman at exclusive New Year's gala." Simone showed me her phone between conversations, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Your family is going to absolutely lose their minds." She was right. I could see that Willow had viewed my Instagram story 5 times already. Garrett had viewed it 3 times. Comments were rolling in from acquaintances I hadn't heard from in years. "You look incredible. Living your best life. Who's the handsome date?" Each notification felt like validation that I existed, that I mattered, that I was more than just the family scapegoat they'd tried to make me. At that exact moment, my family was gathering at Lucille's house for their sad, small New Year's celebration. I could picture it perfectly. Store-bought appetizers on paper plates, cheap wine in mismatched glasses, forced conversation filling uncomfortable silences. Lucille, Byron, Garrett, Celeste, and Willow, all sitting around trying to pretend they were having a wonderful time. They were all checking their phones obsessively, I learned later. Willow gasped and showed them my Instagram. A photo Simone had taken of me with Thaddeus, him kissing my cheek in a friendly gesture that looked intimate in the photograph. My caption read, "Grateful for friends who feel like family. Happy New Year." Garrett's face apparently went bright red. Celeste frantically Googled Thaddeus' name, and her expression transformed from confusion to shock. Hess, the CEO of Sullivan Tech Innovations. His net worth is estimated at $70 million. The silence in that room must have been deafening. Lucille's voice came out faint. How does Marlowe know someone like that? Byron looked bewildered. She said she had plans with friends. Then another post appeared. Me laughing with Geneva, the gallery owner. Then another, me in conversation with Senator Beaumont, talking about public arts funding. Each photo was tagged, each person identified, each image a testament to a world they couldn't access. A world that had welcomed me with open arms. Garrett apparently tried to dismiss it. This has to be fake. She's probably crashing the event or something. But Celeste, who understood social currency better than anyone, knew the truth. Those are official event tags. She's a real guest. Look at the way they're looking at her. She's not crashing anything. Willow started crying. We really messed up. We really messed up. My phone began exploding with messages during dinner, though I didn't see them until later. Willow, oh my God, you look amazing. I miss you so much. Garrett, hey sis, Happy New Year. We should definitely catch up soon. It's been too long. Lucille, darling, you look beautiful. Who are all these lovely people you're with? Even Celeste sent a message. Hope you're having a wonderful time. We should absolutely do lunch next week and catch up. All of them suddenly interested, suddenly friendly, suddenly remembering I existed now, that they could see I was surrounded by success and power and people who mattered. Thaddeus noticed my expression as I glanced at my phone. Your family? I nodded, unable to speak. He gently took the phone from my hand. You don't have to respond tonight. This night is yours. Don't let them take it. I put the phone away and chose joy. By 11:30, the energy in the ballroom had reached a crescendo of anticipation. The orchestra shifted to increasingly celebratory music, building toward midnight. Staff moved through the crowd, distributing champagne in crystal flutes for the traditional toast. Thaddeus stayed close to me all evening, making sure I was comfortable, introducing me to more incredible people with every conversation. I met a documentary filmmaker who'd just returned from Antarctica, a children's book author whose work I'd loved as a child, a cardiac surgeon who talked about art as meditation. Each person I met reminded me that there was an entire world of interesting, kind, accomplished people who would value someone like me. Geneva pulled me aside during a quiet moment. I'm completely serious about wanting to see your work. Thaddeus showed me your portfolio, and I was genuinely impressed. You have something raw and emotional in your technique. I felt tears threatening my carefully applied makeup. He showed you my work? She smiled warmly. He thinks very highly of you, Marlowe, and his judgment about people and art is excellent. I'd like you to submit 6 pieces for a show I'm curating in March. The theme is rising. I think your work would be perfect. This was a real opportunity. The kind I'd dreamed about but never thought I'd actually get. The kind my family had dismissed with comments like, art isn't a real career. When are you going to be serious about your future? At 11:45, Simone found me near the Champagne Tower with news. The society photographer wants to take a group photo. You, Thaddeus, Geneva, Senator Beaumont, and 3 other guests. This photo is going to run in the city's lifestyle magazine next week. I hesitated. Are you sure I should be in it? I'm not really anybody. Simone gripped my shoulders. Stop that. You're an artist. You're here as a guest of honor, and you're the most elegant woman in this entire ballroom. Get in the photo. The photographer arranged us carefully. Me in the center front, Thaddeus with his arm around my shoulders in a protective, friendly gesture. Geneva on my other side, Senator Beaumont behind us. The camera flashed several times. Simone immediately got a copy and posted it with tags identifying everyone. Ringing in the new year with extraordinary people. Grateful. She showed me the post with a wicked smile. This will be in print next week. Your family will see it at every grocery store checkout and newsstand in the city. The countdown to midnight began. 10, 9, 8. I looked around the ballroom at all the happy faces, people celebrating with genuine warmth and joy. No judgment, no backhanded compliments, no walking on eggshells, wondering when someone would use my words against me. 7, 6, 5. I thought about how far I'd come from that devastated woman sitting alone on Christmas Eve. 4, 3, 2. I thought about the family I'd chosen instead of the one that had abandoned me. 1. Happy New Year. The room exploded with sound. Cheers, music, the pop of champagne corks. Balloons dropped from the ceiling in a cascade of silver and gold. Confetti fell like snow. People embraced and kissed and shouted with joy. Thaddeus pulled me into a tight hug. This is your year, Marlo. I can feel it. This is when everything changes. Strangers wished me well. Happy New Year, beautiful. Best wishes, dear. Here's to new beginnings. I felt tears on my cheeks, but for the first time in months, they were tears of happiness and relief. I wasn't alone. I wasn't worthless. I wasn't the problem. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. At Lucille's house, they watched the ball drop on television in crushing silence. The moment midnight struck, Willow refreshed Instagram with shaking hands. Simona's post appeared, the group photo with all the powerful people surrounding me. Celeste zoomed in on the image, her voice hollow as she named each person. That's Senator Beaumont. Geneva Ashton, who owns the most prestigious gallery in the state. That's the CEO of Hartford Industries. That's the woman who runs the Children's Hospital Foundation. She kept going, each name another nail in the coffin of their assumptions about me. Garrett threw his phone across the room. How is this possible? How is any of this possible? Byron finally spoke, his voice heavy with realization. We threw away our daughter because we were jealous of an inheritance she deserved. And now she's surrounded by millionaires and people with more power than we'll ever have. Lucille finished the thought, her voice barely a whisper. She didn't need us. She never needed us. We needed her. We needed her, and we destroyed her, and now she's flying without us. Willow sobbed into her hands. The truth had finally landed. They'd attacked me out of jealousy and insecurity, and I had not only survived but thrived. They'd expected me to crumble and beg to come back. Instead, it built a new life that far exceeded anything they could offer. At 12:15, Garrett called me. My phone buzzed in my clutch, but I ignored it. He called again. Thaddeus noticed my expression. Want me to answer it and tell him to leave you alone? I was tempted, but I shook my head. No, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Tonight is mine. A text came through. We need to talk. It's important. Family emergency. I showed Thaddeus, who shook his head with disgust. Classic manipulation tactic. There's no emergency except their panic at realizing they can't control you anymore. I blocked all their numbers temporarily. Tonight belonged to me and the people who'd shown up for me. Around 1 in the morning, a smaller group moved to the hotel's penthouse lounge for a more intimate after-party. Thaddeus, Simone, Geneva, and about 10 others settled into comfortable leather chairs with champagne and conversation that flowed easily. Someone asked me about my art, and I found myself explaining my passion for abstract expressionism, how I tried to capture emotional states rather than physical forms. Geneva leaned forward, genuinely interested. What are you working on right now? I described a series I'd been developing about transformation and rebirth. She nodded thoughtfully. That show I mentioned in March? I want you to submit for it. I mean that seriously. Thaddeus looked proud, like my success was his success. See? This is what happens when you're around people who appreciate you. They lift you up instead of tearing you down. I realized he was right. My family had kept me small, made me doubt myself, convinced me my art was a hobby rather than a calling. These people, most of whom I'd just met, were already offering more support and validation than I'd received in years from my own blood relatives. New Year's Day morning arrived with bright winter sunlight streaming through my apartment windows. I woke up still feeling the glow of the previous night, still wearing the metaphorical crown of someone who'd been celebrated rather than tolerated. I unblocked my family's numbers, and immediately my phone went crazy. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages. The desperation was palpable, even through the screen. Lucille, we need to talk immediately. This is serious. Byron, this behavior is completely unacceptable. Call your mother right now. Garrett, Who the hell do you think you are showing off like that? We need to talk. Willow, I'm so worried about you. Please call me, please. Celeste, I've been thinking more about the beach house. I have a better offer for you. Let's discuss. Still trying to manipulate me for property, even now. At 10 in the morning, someone pounded on my apartment door with the kind of aggressive knocking that made my neighbors probably call building security. I looked through the peephole and saw Garrett and Celeste standing there, both looking furious. I was exhausted and not ready for this confrontation. Go away, I called through the door. Garrett's voice came back loud and angry. Open this door right now, Marlo. We need to talk about last night. I kept the chain lock on and opened the door just a crack. Say what you need to say from there. Garrett's attempt at a friendly expression was laughable. Look, maybe we overreacted a little bit about the inheritance situation. We're willing to move past it if you are. I stared at him. Maybe overreacted? Maybe? Celeste tried her fake sweet voice. We're family, Marlo. Family supports each other through everything. And clearly you're doing well for yourself now with all your fancy new friends. So there's no reason we can't all get along again. The calculation was so obvious it was insulting. So now that you think I have successful connections, I'm worth talking to again? Now that I might be useful? Garrett's fake friendliness evaporated instantly. You made us look like complete idiots. Everyone's asking why you weren't with us on New Year's. Everyone saw those photos. You humiliated us on purpose. There was the real issue. Not that they'd hurt me. Not that they'd been cruel. But that it embarrassed them by being happy without them. I wasn't with you because you didn't want me, I said clearly. For months, you've excluded me, lied about me, tried to manipulate me. Fair? Celeste's voice rose. That's not fair at all. We were just trying to look out for the family's best interests. I felt my anger finally surface. You tried to buy my house for half its value yesterday. You spread lies about me for months. Stop pretending this is about family. Garrett started yelling, but I slammed the door and locked it. They pounded and shouted in the hallway, but I put in my headphones, turned on music, and ignored them until building security made them leave. At noon, Simone called, her voice bubbling with excitement. Check the Sentinel's Society page right now. Like, right this second. I opened my laptop and navigated to the newspaper's website. The lifestyle section loaded, and there on the front page was a large photo from last night. The headline read, New Year's Gala brings together city's most influential. The group photo with me prominently featured took up half the page. I read the article with growing amazement. Among the notable attendees was artist Marlo Ashford, guest of host Thaddeus Sullivan, who chatted with Senator Beaumont about public arts funding and discussed a potential gallery showing with renowned curator Geneva Ashton. Ashford's elegant presence was noted by several guests as a highlight of the evening. They'd called me notable. They'd called me elegant. They'd described me like I was someone who mattered. The comments section was already filling with responses. Who is she? She's gorgeous. Love that green dress. She looks like royalty. Anyone know where we can see her art? I showed Simone over video chat, and she was triumphant. This will be in print tomorrow. Every grocery store, every newsstand, every coffee shop in this city will have this photo. Your family can't escape it. By 1 in the afternoon, my parents had shown up at my apartment building. I didn't answer when they knocked, but they didn't leave. They sat in the hallway outside my door, and I could hear them talking. Lucille called through the door, her voice pleading. Marlo, sweetheart, please. We're your parents. We just want to understand what's happening. Byron added, we just want to talk, baby girl. 5 minutes. That's all we're asking. I spoke through the closed door, not opening it. You had months to want to understand. You chose to exclude me instead. You chose to believe lies about me. You chose to remove my stocking from the fireplace and tell people you only had 2 kids. Lucille's voice cracked. We made mistakes. We see that now. Please let us make it right. I felt years of hurt rising in my throat. Make it right how? By suddenly caring now that I'm in the newspaper? By pretending to be proud of me now that I have successful friends? Byron tried his stern father voice. That's not fair, Marlo. I actually laughed, though it came out bitter. Then why? Tell me exactly why you care now when you didn't care on Christmas. Why now, and not when I was eating Thanksgiving dinner alone, surrounded by food I'd bought for a family that didn't want me? Silence. Neither of them had an answer because we all knew the truth. They cared now because it embarrassed them, because it'd proven I didn't need them, because the power dynamic had shifted and they didn't know how to handle it. Please leave, I said firmly. I heard Lucille crying in the hallway, but eventually, their footsteps faded away. At 3 in the afternoon, Thaddeus called to check on me. I told him about Garrett and my parents showing up, about the newspaper article, about all the messages flooding my phone. His voice was gentle but firm. Do you want me to have my lawyer send them a cease and desist letter? If they're harassing you, we can make it stop legally. I considered it. Not yet. I don't know what to do. Thaddeus was quiet for a moment, then said something that made everything clearer. You don't have to do anything, Marlo. You didn't create this situation. They did. For months, they treated you terribly. Now they're facing consequences, and they don't like it. But those consequences aren't your responsibility to fix. He paused. You're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to say no. You spent your whole life trying to fix things for them, trying to make them happy, trying to be good enough. Maybe it's time to let them sit with what they've done. At 6 that evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Willow's panicked voice came through. Marlo, I'm so sorry to call like this, but I didn't know who else to contact. I'm at Memorial Hospital. I was in a car accident. My heart stopped. Every protective instinct I had fired at once. Oh my God, are you okay? What happened? Willow's voice was shaking, tears evident. I'm okay. Mostly just shaken up, but they want to keep me overnight for observation. I'm scared, and I can't reach anyone. Garrett and Celeste aren't answering their phones. Mom and Dad left this morning to visit Aunt Constance for a few days. I have no one, and am terrified, and I know I don't deserve your help after everything. But please, I was already grabbing my keys. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Which hospital? Memorial on 4th Street? She confirmed through sobs, and I rushed out the door without thinking. All the hurt and anger evaporated in the face of my sister potentially being injured. Whatever else had happened, she was still my sister, and she needed help. I arrived at Memorial Hospital and rushed to the emergency room, my heart pounding with worry. I asked the nurse at the desk for Willow's location, and she directed me to Bay 7. I practically ran there, yanked back the curtain, and stopped dead. Willow was sitting on the hospital bed, completely fine. No injuries, no bandages, no signs of any accident, and standing next to her, looking guilty and defiant at the same time, were Garrett and Celeste. I understood immediately. It had been a trap. What is this? My voice came out shaking with fury. Willow couldn't meet my eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Garrett stepped forward. We needed to get you somewhere. You couldn't just run away and ignore us. We need to talk, and you wouldn't give us a chance. The betrayal was so enormous I couldn't process it. You lied about a medical emergency? You made me think my sister was hurt in a car accident? Celeste crossed her arms. We just need 5 minutes to have a real conversation without you slamming doors in our faces. I was shaking with rage. You're insane. All 3 of you are absolutely insane. I turned to leave, but Garrett grabbed my arm roughly. You owe us a conversation after what you pulled last night. I ripped my arm away from him. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe any of you a single thing. A nurse appeared, alerted by the raised voices. Is everything all right here? I looked at her, then at my family. These people lied about a medical emergency to lure me here. Is that illegal? The nurse's expression turned stern. She looked at Garrett. You need to leave immediately. I'm calling security. Garrett started arguing. Celeste tried to explain. Willow cried, but I walked out. I walked out while security was being called, while they were arguing with hospital staff, while they were facing consequences for the first time. I was done. Completely, finally done. I sat in my car in the hospital parking lot, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I was shaking with adrenaline and fury and something that felt like grief. They'd faked an emergency. They'd weaponized my love for my sister to manipulate me one more time. I called Thaddeus, and when he answered, I could barely get the words out. I told him everything. The fake accident, the ambush at the hospital, Garrett grabbing my arm. Thaddeus was silent for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was harder than I'd ever heard it. Marlo, this is harassment. This is beyond family drama. You need legal protection. He was right. I'd been thinking of this as a family issue, something private and painful, but ultimately something to handle quietly. But this had escalated beyond that. I called Simone next and told her the whole story. Her response was immediate. Okay, no more playing defense. It's time to go on offense, not for revenge, but for protection. You need to tell the truth publicly, set the record straight, and make it clear you won't tolerate this behavior. We spent an hour on the phone crafting a strategy. On January 2nd, I sat down at my laptop and wrote a post. Not dramatic, not angry, just honest. I've received several messages asking about my family's absence from my New Year's celebration, so I want to provide clarity. I wasn't invited to Christmas or Thanksgiving this year. After my grandmother passed away and left me her beach house in her will, some family members felt I didn't deserve the inheritance. The past few months have been filled with accusations, rumors, and deliberate exclusion. Last night, my family lied about a medical emergency to lure me to a hospital for a confrontation. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but to set the record straight. I'm moving forward with people who value me. I wish my family well from a distance. I attached screenshots, the family group chat showing the Christmas planning I wasn't included in, Garrett's Instagram post saying, "Best Christmas without the drama," the message from Celeste trying to buy my house for half its value. I read the post 5 times, made sure it was factual and calm, and hit publish. Within 30 minutes, the post had 500 views. Within an hour, 2,000. The comments poured in. "This is heartbreaking. You deserve so much better. My family did something similar. Thank you for sharing." The people commenting on here, calling you names, are probably your family members. You look happier without them. Keep shining. Thaddeus shared my post with a simple comment. Proud of this woman's courage and strength. Geneva shared it. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to stand beside you. The post went viral within our city's social circles. Within 3 days, it had 15,000 views and had been screenshot and shared across multiple platforms. The impact on my family was immediate and devastating. Garrett's boss called him into the office. Apparently, several clients had seen the post and asked uncomfortable questions about Garrett's character and judgment. His professional reputation was taking damage. Celeste's online boutique got review bombed by people who'd read the post and were disgusted by her behavior. Comments like, "Would never buy from someone who treats family like this," and "manipulative person running manipulative business." Lucille and Byron started receiving calls from extended family members who'd seen the post. Aunt Constance, Byron's sister, called me directly. "Your parents told us you were too busy to come to the holidays. They said you'd gotten caught up in a new social circle and didn't have time for family anymore. They made you sound like a snob. I had no idea they'd excluded you." The lies were unraveling publicly, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. On January 3rd, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I answered cautiously, and Geneva's warm voice came through. "Marlo, I want to make this official. I want 6 pieces from you for the March exhibition. Abstract Expressionism. Theme is rising. I'm curating a show about resilience and transformation, and after reading your post, I think your story embodies exactly what I'm looking for." I was stunned, speechless. Geneva continued, "Are you concerned about the family drama affecting the show? Because I'm not. If anything, it makes your work more powerful. Your story is about rising above people who tried to keep you down. That's the entire theme. This was everything I'd dreamed about. A real gallery show. Potential sales. Exposure. Legitimacy as an artist. All the things my family had dismissed with comments like, 'Art isn't a real career,' and 'When are you going to be serious about your future?' Geneva believed in me. 'I'll do it,' I said, my voice shaking with emotion. 'Thank you for believing in my work.' Geneva laughed warmly. 'I believe in talent, and you have it. Thaddeus showed me your portfolio weeks ago, and I was impressed then. Now I'm even more impressed by your character. Let's create something beautiful." On January 5th, a formal letter arrived via postal mail. My mother's handwriting on the expensive cream envelope. I opened it carefully. "Dearest Marlo, we have failed you as parents. and we can see that now. Please come to Sunday dinner this weekend. Let us apologize properly and start rebuilding our relationship. We love you and miss you terribly, Mom and Dad. I read it 3 times, feeling the pull of old patterns. They were my parents. They were apologizing. Shouldn't I forgive them? I showed the letter to Simone over video chat. She read it carefully and frowned. Did they apologize for the fake hospital emergency? Did they apologize specifically for spreading rumors about you? Did they apologize for excluding you from holidays? Or did they just say we failed without any actual accountability? I reread the letter. It was vague, full of general statements but no specific acknowledgement of what they'd actually done wrong. Simone nodded. This is called love bombing. It's a manipulation tactic. They're overwhelmed by the consequences of their actions, so they're trying to reel you back in with generic statements of love and vague promises to change. But there's no real accountability here, no acknowledgement of specific harm, no plan for how things would be different. I didn't respond to the letter. On January 7th, the building manager Reginald called me. Miss Ashford, your brother is in the lobby demanding I let him up to your apartment. I've told him you need to approve visitors, but he's causing quite a scene. I sighed. Please don't let him up. I don't want to see him. Reginald hesitated. He's getting aggressive with me, and I may need to call police if he doesn't calm down. I came down to the lobby to handle it myself. Garrett looked terrible. Unshaven, disheveled, his eyes wild with desperation. When he saw me, he rushed forward. Finally, Marlo, please. I'm losing everything. My boss is threatening to fire me because clients are asking questions about my character. Celeste is furious because her business is tanking. This is your fault. You're destroying our lives with your little revenge post. I crossed my arms. My fault? I posted the truth. You destroyed your own lives by treating me terribly and getting caught. He changed tactics, his voice turning pleading. What do you want? Money? Do you want the beach house situation resolved differently? Just tell me what it takes to make this go away. I realized something in that moment. Garrett thought everything was transactional. He couldn't comprehend that some damage can't be fixed with money or deals or negotiations. I want you to leave me alone, I said clearly. That's all. No money, no arrangements, nothing. Just leave me alone. Garrett's expression turned desperate and angry. You're really going to throw away your entire family over this? Over one inheritance and some hurt feelings? I looked at him steadily. You threw me away first. You excluded me from Christmas. You spread lies about me. You faked a medical emergency to trap me. I'm just accepting the reality you created and building a life without you. Reginald stepped forward. Sir, you need to leave now. Garrett pointed at me. This isn't over, Marlo. I turned and walked back to the elevator. Yes, it is. That evening, my chosen family gathered at my apartment. Thaddeus brought Thai food. Simone brought wine. Geneva came with a contract for the gallery show. Lenora brought homemade cookies and her sharp wit. We sat around my small dining table, eating and laughing and planning my art show. Thaddeus raised his glass. To found family. To people who choose each other instead of being stuck with each other by accident of birth. We all toasted. Geneva asked me about the pieces I was planning for the show, and I described my vision. Abstracts in emerald and gold and deep blue, representing transformation and rebirth and rising from ashes. She nodded enthusiastically. What does rising mean to you personally? I thought about the question. It means refusing to stay down when people push you there. It means finding your wings even when people clip them. It means becoming yourself despite everyone trying to make you smaller. The table was quiet for a moment. Then Simone squeezed my hand. That's perfect. That's exactly what this show should be. I looked around at these people who'd shown up for me. The college friend who'd offered support without hesitation. The PR professional who'd become my fiercest defender. The gallery owner who believed in my talent. The elderly neighbor who'd shared her painful wisdom. This felt like family. Real family. The kind that lifts you up instead of tearing you down. March 15th arrived with the first hints of spring in the air. The Ashton Gallery was transformed for my exhibition opening. My 6 pieces hung on pristine white walls under perfect lighting, each one a testament to the journey I'd traveled. Severance was done in sharp edges of emerald and black, representing the cutting away of toxic ties. Reclamation showed gold breaking through darkness. Unbound featured flowing forms in deep blue. suggesting freedom and movement. Phoenix Theory was my largest piece, flames of gold and orange rising from ashes of gray. Witness and Becoming completed the collection, each exploring different aspects of transformation. The opening night drew over 100 attendees, critics, collectors, art enthusiasts, and my people. Thaddeus, in another perfect suit, Simone documenting everything, Lenora dressed beautifully and crying with pride, Geneva moving through the crowd, making introductions. Within the first hour, 3 pieces sold. Severance went for $5,000, Phoenix Theory for $7,000, Reclamation for $4,000. The local newspaper's art critic wrote a review on the spot. Marlo Ashford's work demonstrates raw emotional power combined with technical mastery. Her pieces don't just show transformation, they embody it. I stood in the center of my gallery, surrounded by people who believed in me, and felt complete. My parents arrived unannounced about an hour into the opening. I saw them enter, looking uncomfortable and out of place in their conservative clothing among the art crowd. Lucille spotted me and made her way over, Byron trailing behind. She looked at the pieces on the walls, at the red sold stickers already appearing, at the crowd of admirers. This is beautiful, honey. We're so proud of you. I felt nothing, no anger, no sadness, just a calm detachment. You weren't proud when I was painting in my apartment alone. You told me art wasn't a real career. Byron cleared his throat. We want to be part of your life again, sweetheart. We miss you. I looked at both of them. What changed? Tell me specifically what's different now than at Christmas when you told people you only had 2 kids. Lucille couldn't say it out loud. Because you're successful now. Because you have connections. Because we were wrong about you. She settled for, we made mistakes, and we want to fix them. I shook my head gently. You didn't make mistakes. Mistakes are accidental. You made choices. Deliberate, repeated choices to hurt me. Garrett and Willow had followed them in and were hovering nearby, looking ashamed. I addressed all 4 of them at once. I forgive you. Not because you've earned it, or because you deserve it, but because I refuse to carry anger around anymore. It's too heavy, and I have better things to do. Lucille's face brightened with hope. So we can start over? We can be a family again? I looked at Thaddeus, Simone, Geneva, and Lenora across the room. No. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You taught me that family can be the people who hurt you most. Now I'm choosing family that lifts me, instead of pushing me down. Byron tried one more time, but we're your blood. I interrupted him gently but firmly. Blood doesn't obligate me to accept mistreatment. Blood doesn't mean I have to let you hurt me over and over. I hope you find peace. I really do. But I've found mine, and it doesn't include you. Geneva had noticed the commotion and approached with security. She spoke politely but with steel in her voice. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a private event. As security escorted them out, I watched them go and felt only relief. They'd finally understood. They'd lost me permanently. A week after the gallery show, Willow reached out again. She asked to meet alone, without any other family members, at a neutral coffee shop. I was hesitant but agreed, curious if anything had genuinely changed. We sat across from each other, and Willow looked genuinely remorseful for the first time. I was jealous, she said without preamble, of the house, of Grandma loving you more, of you being the smart one and the talented one. I felt like it'd been second best my whole life. And when you got that inheritance, it felt like proof that everyone valued you more than me. She started crying, and these tears seemed real. So I went along with Garrett and Celeste because for once, I was on the inside of something, and you were on the outside. It felt good in a sick way, like I finally mattered more. I appreciated the honesty. So you excluded me to feel included? She nodded miserably. Yes, and it was cruel, and I see that now. The hospital thing was Garrett's idea, but I went along with it, and that's just as bad. I don't expect you to forgive me or trust me ever again. I just wanted you to know I see what I did, and I'm sorry. There were no excuses, no justifications, just acknowledgement. I sat quietly for a moment. I can't go back to how things were, Willow. That version of us doesn't exist anymore. But maybe eventually, if you keep doing the work of actually changing, we could build something new. Small, careful, based on honesty instead of whatever we had before. Her face showed fragile hope. I'd like that. Even if it takes years. Even if it never gets back to sisters. Just not having you hate me would be enough. We parted with tentative understanding. Not family yet, possibly never again, but not enemies either. By July, my life had transformed completely. I'd moved into Grandma Iris' beach house permanently, spending my days painting in the converted studio with ocean lights streaming through the windows. I woke every morning to the sound of waves and the cry of seagulls, made coffee on the wraparound porch, and painted until my hands ached. Geneva represented my work exclusively now. 3 more galleries in other cities had expressed interest in showing my pieces. I'd sold 8 paintings total, earning enough to live comfortably while doing what I loved. Thaddeus visited most weekends. Our friendship had deepened into something more, though we were taking it slowly. Both of us careful with the precious thing growing between us. Simone came for weekend visits regularly, and we'd walk the beach talking about everything and nothing. Lenora had moved to a retirement community just 15 minutes away, and we had lunch together every Wednesday. I hosted dinner parties for my chosen family, filling the beach house with laughter and good food and genuine warmth. One evening in late July, I sat on the beach watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. I thought about the journey from that devastating Christmas Eve to this moment of peace. I'd started therapy in March, working through family trauma and learning to set healthy boundaries. The anger had faded into acceptance. I occasionally still got texts from Lucille, "Thinking of you today," or "Hope you're well." I responded politely but briefly, maintaining distance. Garrett had sent a stiff apology via email that read like it had been written by a lawyer. I acknowledged it but didn't pursue reconciliation. Byron never apologized, still believing somehow that he'd done nothing wrong. I'd made peace with that. Willow and I texted occasionally, slowly rebuilding trust. She came to visit once a month, and we walked the beach, talking carefully around the hurt that still existed between us. It might never heal completely, but it was something. I'd learned lessons I wished I hadn't needed to learn. I thought family was supposed to be everything, the foundation you could always count on. But I learned that family isn't just who you're born to. It's who shows up for you. It's who celebrates your success instead of resenting it. It's who tells you the truth, even when it's hard. When people show you who they are through their actions, believe them. Not their words after they're caught. Not their promises to change, but their consistent patterns of behavior. You can forgive people and still choose not to keep them in your life. Forgiveness is for your peace of mind, not for their comfort or convenience. Losing toxic family members isn't actually loss. It's liberation. It's making space for people who will love you properly. The people who truly love you will celebrate when you succeed, not try to diminish you. Sometimes the worst betrayals force you toward the best transformations. If my family hadn't excluded me from Christmas, I might never have gone to that New Year's gala, never reconnected deeply with Thaddeus, never gotten the gallery opportunity, never built this beautiful life by the ocean. You don't owe loyalty to people who don't respect you, even if you share blood, especially if you share blood, because they should know better. I finished a new painting and stepped back to examine it. Found showed abstract figures in gold and emerald, connected by threads of light but distinctly separate from dark figures fading into the background. It represented the family I'd found versus the family I'd lost, and I was finally at peace with both. My phone buzzed with a text from Thaddeus. "Dinner tonight? My place or yours?" I smiled and typed back, "Mine. I'll make pasta." I looked around my studio with its ocean view, at the life I'd built piece by piece after everything fell apart. No more drama, no more manipulation, no more walking on eggshells or wondering when my words would be used against me. Just peace, possibility, and people who genuinely cared. I wasn't the abandoned daughter anymore. I was the artist, the friend, the woman who'd chosen herself when no one else would. And that choice had saved my life. My family didn't invite me to Christmas, and at the time, it felt like the end of the world. It felt like confirmation of every insecurity I'd ever had, proof that I wasn't good enough or lovable enough or important enough, but it turned out to be the beginning of my real life, the life where I was valued, the life where I was free. They saw who I celebrated New Year's with and finally understood what they'd lost. But by then, it already found what it'd been missing all along: myself, my voice, my worth, and a family that actually deserved me. The best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so full of genuine joy and success that you forget why you wanted revenge in the first place. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between toxic family and your own peace of mind? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experiences help others feel less alone. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more real stories about finding strength when life gets hard. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to choose yourself. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you find or have already found your own tribe of people who celebrate you exactly as you are. May you always know your worth, and may you always have the courage to walk away from people who don't see it. Happy New Year, whenever you're watching this, and here's to new beginnings.